Numerous people have tried to make hay out of the fact that I haven't been to Kenya, as if there is some dark, deep secret, some resentment, some objection to coming. It's not. It's just the way it has not fallen to actually.
So, initial thoughts, what do you think of the country?
I think there's a huge opportunity here. I think there's a gentleness, a sophistication in Eastern Africa, particularly in Kenya, that I think offers great potential for the future, particularly when you look at the way in which 40% of the population is young.
Right.
And that demographic is only going to get greater. And that 40% of that, the youngsters under 35, under 40, they are tech savvy. Everyone has a smartphone. I've been so impressed, for example, by M-Pesa. It sounds like a small thing, but
big deal.
When you see hawkers on the street taking M-Pesa, and the man who sells a newspaper will take M-Pesa or the equivalent, that's huge. Excuse me, miss, who dropped this?
No, it's just a penny.
Just a penny? Just a penny?
You are a larger-than-life character on TV. You know, I wonder at times, is this what you created in terms of a brand for your TV persona, or is this part and parcel of who Richard Quest is?
Let's get to this. If you put on an act, like an actor, the viewer will be able to tell. Because the viewer sees an actor, Brad Pitt, playing something. The viewer sees Tom Cruise playing something in Mission Impossible and knows, God, he's doing a really good job, because the viewer has seen him play something else. But with our jobs, there has to be an authenticity to it. Now, is it a more exaggerated version? Yes, of course, there has to be an element of performance about it. No, so there has to be an element of oomph or armour about it. But it is real. I genuinely get excited when when I saw the M-Pesa thing. I thought, well, this is really, I need to get to it. I need to understand it. I need to go and look. You're thinking to yourself, this man is lunatic. We use this every day. Why is he getting so excited about something as ordinary as payment mechanisms?
There's no longer the all-knowing, TV presenter who will tell you everything. Sometimes you have viewers who know more about the subject matter than you do.
You always have viewers who know more about the story than you do. Always. The question is how one deals with those viewers, how one brings them into the conversation so that you can feast off their knowledge. Only a fool believes they are the expert on the story. There's always somebody else who'll know more.
And so how do we navigate that space now of fake news, for instance, that's really taking over, especially for journalists?
What do you mean by fake news?
You know, where we have stories that are not authentic, they don't have the true facts or full facts, and oftentimes people gravitate to that kind of news. Confirmation bias, if you will, it's what they want to see and hear. How do we navigate that space?
It is a huge problem. That is the true definition of fake news, not this idea of the President of the United States who wishes to criticize legitimate news organizations because he doesn't like the facts. No, the true definition of fake news is exactly what you say. It is those avenues and outlets for the dissemination of true fake news for political purposes or otherwise. And I think the way we have to do it is you have to educate people that there has to be an education process that says in this new environment you are going to be exposed to deliberately incorrect information. In the old days, it was the 9 o'clock news, and I'm going to tell you. It was the Daily Nation. Here it is. You're going to read it. And there were so many structures, and these people were so well known. That's different. Now, we have to educate an entire, particularly a younger generation, that there is, I'm going to put it bluntly, we have to educate a younger generation that there's a heap of crap out there and they need to learn to navigate and sift the crap from the decent stuff. Not necessarily the views that you agree with.
True. You mentioned Donald Trump, phenomenon on his own. How do you cover a man like that? Has he changed how we do journalism? You mentioned how he denounces mainstream media.
The first thing to understand is the change by direct tweeting. Now, in the past, presidents have always spoken as they've left the Oval Office and gone across the South Lawn and all of that. But now this is the first time that you're seeing a president with direct access to the populace without a filter of press, advisors. He says what he thinks and we get to read it. We've had to learn that, sad to say, we've had to learn that a presidential word does not mean what a presidential says. And it's not, it might be because it's a lie, or it might just be because we are listening to presidential musings. Now, in the past, presidents would muse in an interview and they'd say, well, I think we need to think about that carefully, and maybe we need to think about this. But this idea, we see it today. Yeah. The president's been talking about a 10% tax cut for the middle classes that does not exist. It simply does not exist. So we have to do, that's a real challenge. It's a total challenge for the traditional media, the conventional media. The conventional is better than traditional, but for the mainstream media, it is a tremendous challenge in how we cope with that. Because we can't rely on the viewer or the reader or the listener saying, I can spot this for what it is.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you do that succinctly? Because, okay, let's talk about CNN and the coverage of Trump. Many feel it's a bit skewed and biased against him, very opinionated. Do you feel that CNN is doing that effectively to show the difference between the president who's using on Twitter or what he really means? As the president?
I heard my colleague Jake Tapper being asked exactly this question, but in a different way. Where one of the people on his program said, you never tell the good sides of what the president's doing. And Tapper said, that's simply not true. That is simply not true. We will regularly talk about, Mike Westmere's business, about how good the US economy is, how much it can be attributed to Donald Trump's policies, how much should properly be attributed to Barack Obama and Janet Yellen at the Fed. We will have that debate now. Why is it improper to tell the public that the President of the United States lies? Why is it improper to tell the public that the President of the United States has embarked on a foreign policy that leaves allies wondering what to do? The correct coverage, of course, also says that there's middle America that loves this. But I promise you, I go to enough international meetings where diplomats and politicians will sit there and say privately to you they've no idea what's going on and they can't fathom it, and it's a complete... we have a good one at the moment. Sorry, I know I'm rambling here and you're going to cut this way back. But we have a good one here. In his interview at the weekend with Leslie Stahl of CBS, 60 Minutes, and who is one of the absolute doyens of journalism, the president challenged the point that she made, that the White House is in chaos. He said, that's fake news. That's fake news. Now, hang on a second, Mr. President. Michael Wolff wrote that it was in chaos. Carl Bernstein wrote that it was in... I beg your pardon, Bob Woodward wrote that it was in chaos. Carl Bernstein's reported that it's in chaos. There is... Even your own people, after they've left, have said it's in chaos. Don't try to tell me something is untrue that we know is true.
I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir,
go ahead.
Can you state categorically that...
I mean, that is amazing. With all of that, he's still able to reach his base.
Because his base doesn't care. His base never liked us to start with. But let me tell you, we are, and I don't mean this in an arrogant or a pompous way, but we are the last bastions in some cases of your freedom. Because we are the ones that will hold when the politicians have got so used to having the lights turn green when they get to them, and who never have to wait in line for anything, and who constantly are yes sir, no sir, and when nobody disagrees with them. And that's in a good democracy. It is the press saying, oh, hang on, that was a crappy policy, and hang on, that policy's not going to work, and hang on, look at all these people who are being damaged by your policies.
Let's move away from journalism to now the direct flight, Nairobi to New York. Very exciting. You are a self-proclaimed aviation nerd.
A brand new aircraft and a record to be broken. The longest flight in the world.
What is your favorite aircraft?
Hello! How can you ask us something like that? Whenever I had to, the Boeing 747.
Can you narrow-
Yes, the Boeing 747 jumbo jet, the one with the hump.
I think I heard you one time say if it's not a Boeing, it ain't going.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I did not. If it ain't Boeing, I ain't going. Boeing pilots always say that. In the battle between Boeing and Airbus, where the Airbus has the side stick and the Boeing has the yoke, and then the Boeing pilots always say Airbus has too much automation and they need to be able to fly the plane, and Airbus simply says no, the protection's unnecessary. That's great. But this flight from Nairobi is interesting because it's not going to be the longest flight.
That's right.
Not even close.
You've done the longest.
I did that last week, Singapore to New York.
Great.
But it is a significant flight because firstly for Kenya Airways, it gives them a very important foothold into the United States, and they're now playing with the big boys and girls when you go to New York. Secondly, it allows Sebastian Mikosh, the new CEO, to develop his philosophy and his ideas for the airline. And thirdly, it means here Kenyans have to start asking, what do we want this airline to be? It's a private company.
Right.
And it's successful because the government hasn't interfered. If you look elsewhere in Africa, in Ethiopia, yeah, we can arguably say Ethiopian Airlines is subsidized, but the Ethiopian government has basically recognized, don't mess around with the airline. It'll only cost us money. Very different in South Africa, where the government will not let go of the airline.
Yeah.
And all that happens is it loses a fortune and the government keep having to bail it out. The aviation in Africa is the true untold potential. Until governments get off their ridiculous policies of everybody insisting on a flag carrier that's going to carry my flag somewhere, who knows where, and instead promote open skies. I got a secret for you. It doesn't matter who runs the route. It doesn't matter. Lufthansa owns Swiss and Brussels and Austrian. IAG owns Iberia of Spain and British Airways. It's far better to promote the growth that comes with aviation, to promote the growth, and don't worry about who owns it.
Do you feel this is testament to the whole narrative, Africa Rising? People feel it's dead because that was during the period of 2000 to 2014.
What does it mean?
What does it mean? Do you feel that is, it was a buzz phrase for a while. Do
Yeah.
you feel that it's actually happening now, or?
Of course it's happening, but it's happening in spite of government, not because of government. It's happening because the people have an energy, an enthusiasm, an education, a wish for growth. It's happening because technology has allowed Africans to jump several processes, even now. So you've jumped the landline. You've jumped the early computerization. You've even jumped the dumb phone, the dumb mobile phone. You've gone to the smartphone.
Right. So leapfrogging a lot of these, yeah.
But now let's ask about a tax, on the mobile tax in this country.
Taking us several steps back.
The mobile banking tax. Now, there is a budget deficit, but is it really the right thing to tax the newest and growing and most vibrant part of the economy? Does that make sense? So, look, I will bow to no one in my love of this continent and my views on this place. But I urge people here, don't be blinded. Africa Rising was a great idea and it's happening. But Africa is not enjoying the growth and the advancement that it should for the people that it's got.
Unfortunately, I mean, right now people feel it's past 2014, there's been a slowed growth, but in the bigger economies of Africa is why we see that. So people are wondering which part of Africa is actually rising.
Oh, no, everything's rising. That's the point. Everything is rising. It's just not rising as fast as it could or it should. That's the point. Yeah, Africa is rising beautifully.
Because I saw an article, I think it was in Brookings Institute, that said, because Nigeria is slowing, South Africa is slowing, this whole illusion of Africa rising has gone down.
No. That you would expect to happen.
Okay.
That is no different to Germany slowing, so Greece slows.
Okay.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
If California slows, the economy of the whole United States slows.
It doesn't.
So if you're looking at a pan-African economy, what you need to ask is, why is Africa slowing? Sorry, why is Nigeria slowing? And why is there not another engine of growth in Africa that can pick up that slack? Maybe not completely. So in global growth at the moment, the US is slowing a bit, but China has put in place policies.
Richard Quest, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much. Karibu Kenya.